Caitlin, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Kaya? I'm excited to be here.
I am a little overwhelmed. We got a lot of schoolwork, midterms just finished, right? But I honestly, besides that, I'm just excited for the weekend because we know Halloween is coming up soon.
Yeah,
Halloween is only
that's
in two
so
days.
true. Oh my, I'm not ready for Halloween at all, but I'm also very excited for it. So,
Do we know what we're dressing up as?
no, I wanted to dye my hair pink just cuz, but I don't know what Halloween costumes go with pink hair. Like I'm trying to think of something to match it. Like I
Harley
don't
Quinn. You can do like pink and blue. You can
Oh,
do a
that's a
gaga
good
look. You
one.
can do a gaga look,
I
you
should go
know?
buy blue hair dye and just like, oh, lady. Wow.
You can be an
Okay.
Osborne daughter. I forgot what her name is. But she
Yeah, yeah,
used
yeah.
to have pink hair, which was
Oh,
super
that's so true.
awesome. Literally, you can do anything. You could just be Caitlyn, rocker
With pink
Caitlyn.
hair, just yeah, like a rock and roll type of.
Literally, exactly. How is everyone else doing? We've got Emma here as our news contributor. We also have Tommy for sports. Stay tuned for that sports
Hello.
cast. Hey, what are we
Hey,
dressing up
I'm
as?
doing. Oh, I am. I think being a Greek goddess. I don't know. It keeps
Ooh,
changing, so we'll see.
That's
I like
cute.
that. I like that. Are we going to be like, Medusa or like Athena, or do we have like a specific Greek goddess
Um,
or
Probably more Athena than like anything. I just have like a few things I'm just gonna put together last minute, so can't say I'm planning it out really that well, as you can
that's
see.
totally fine. You can be Greek goddess with monster makeup. I feel like that's
Yeah.
a trend right now is like
Mhm.
just having your costume, but then also just zombifying it
Yeah.
with your face, which is totally rad. It's just not rad when like you don't know how to do makeup properly,
Yeah.
like me, outing myself out on air. How about you, Tommy?
Uh, to be honest, I think I'm just going to dress up as myself. Probably just a random football team player. Or yeah, probably a legendary football player from the Dolphins, Miami. So,
Are you dyeing your hair pink too?
no,
No? All right,
no,
that's totally fine.
I am not.
I mean, you could do a green, like the football field.
Well, yeah, probably turquoise, but I don't know if I'm doing that this year. But who knows?
Says says the non-sports fan. I actually just want to give, yeah, exactly. I want to give a quick shout out to my Polish ladies out there, my Polish women that currently right now there's a lot. There are abortion protests happening in Poland because the Polish president Andrzej Duda, he has made it publicly known that he's pro-life, and a lot, women are just they don't have the rights to have abortions right now, like we do here, which is really insane to me. And I just want to give a shout out to all of the Polish women out there that are protesting right now and that are, that just deserve the right to have abortion. And I'm seeing a lot of lightning bolts on my family and my friends' profile pictures on Facebook. So I just want to support them. Shout out to my ladies there. But Emma, what's going on in the world of news?
Well, thank you, Kaya. Here is the latest news updates on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. 73 million people have already voted in the upcoming election. Normally, members of the Republican Party vote more on election day, whereas Democrats usually vote early. Both Joe Biden and President Trump are encouraging people to go out and vote. The Montclair restaurant Cuban Pete's has been shut down by court order after officials found the establishment was not following proper COVID-19 precautions. The restaurant received seven warnings and three citations leading up to the shutdown. COVID-19 cases are rising in Europe as they brace for an oncoming second wave. Both France and Germany have ordered major shutdowns, and the UK is expected to do the same, as a new study found that 100,000 people were getting it a day in the United Kingdom. It's going to be a wet and dreary day in Montclair with nonstop rain all day and a high of 53 and a low of 39. So pretty gross, but it's okay.
That is a little gross. I am not excited at all. Literally, all of our plans that were for today canceled. Totally fine though. It's definitely a study day for sure, especially before Halloween. So, you know, I recommend, and just for sanity reasons and just, preparedness, that you guys take this day to study and then have a great Halloween on Saturday. That sounds
That's
good,
some
right?
great advice, Kaya, really. Actually, I should do that.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we need to like remind ourselves, right? Because
Mhm.
like we just get so caught up in everything else, streaming shows and just doing other
Yes.
things and trying to keep a social life during the pandemic, which is super hard. And I'm definitely not succeeding in it. But light a candle, because that's what I did last night. I lit a candle and it smelled like vanilla sugar. And I just, I kind of felt more motivated that way. I was like, I'm taking some time to care for myself in a way just by making my room smell nice. And it just made me feel like I could do work, you know?
Yeah,
It kind of,
it's
so
the little
interesting.
things.
it is the little things. Like I didn't want to procrastinate anymore. It was kind of cool. So lit a
I feel
candle.
like that would do the
study.
opposite for me. I'd be so calm and I'd be like, we're gonna relax now instead of doing work.
Oh, really? With the lighting candle thing?
Yeah,
It
but
comes in
that's a good
waves.
idea. Yeah, true.
But in terms of lighting a candle, what's going on in the world of sports? What's firing up right now?
I'm glad you asked. So we'll get into all that sports for today. Just give me one
Awesome.
sec. Okay, here we go. So going into the NFL, we kick off today's sportcast with some NFL action as the season is already in week 8. Wow, week 8. The Carolina Panthers will host the Atlanta Falcons in this week's Thursday Night Football beginning at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox. Breaking news, the NFL is expecting to have a limited amount of attendance for Super Bowl 55 of at least 20% due to the ongoing pandemic. There's officially no confirmation as to what minute maximum percentage will allow fans to attend this year's Super Bowl at Tampa Bay, Florida. Going on to the NBA, last night the Philadelphia 76ers have officially named former Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey as their new team president of basketball operations on a 5-year deal contract. Meanwhile, the Houston Rockets are expecting to name Dallas Mavericks assistant coach Steven Silas to become the team's next head coach. And the Utah Jazz ownership is being changed as the Miller family has agreed to sell the team to Qualtrics CEO Ryan Smith after running the team for 3 decades. Going on to the MLS, yesterday the Philadelphia Union defeated Chicago by a final score of 2-1, while the New York City FC defeated Toronto by a final score of 1-0, and the Red Bulls also got a win last night by defeating New England 1-0. And to close out today's sportscast, the Los Angeles Dodgers are the 2020 World Series champions. That concludes your sportscast for today. Back to you, Kai and Ryan and Caitlin.
No, Ryan's in studio, no problem. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tommy. So, all right,
Anytime.
guys.
Have a good one, guys.
Yeah, of course.
Yep. See you next
Study.
week. And happy Halloween for all you
Oh,
listening.
yes. Yeah, happy Halloween and study and light a candle.
Will do. Have a good Halloween, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. We're here at 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. If you just tuned in, don't go away just yet because we've got some cool stories coming up. Like, for instance, mail ballots not yet returned in key states. Wow. Okay. So, just days before the presidential election, millions of mail ballots have not been returned in battleground states. And election officials are warning that time is running out for voters and who want to avoid a polling place on election day and want to vote by mail. So at least 35 million mail ballots have been returned or accepted as of early of Wednesday, according to data from the Associated Press. And that's actually a positive thing because that surpasses the 33.3 million total mail ballots that were returned in 2016. So we're really seeing we're just seeing an increase in mail ballots. And obviously that makes sense because we are in a pandemic. So people are trying to stay safe and, people are just trying to stay safe and, getting their votes in, right? That's important. Also going backwards in terms of like in-person and voting before, or even now also is at least 71.5 million votes have been already cast. And that's like the total number of votes that were cast in the last 4 years. So you see how I'm talking about present and past. Like that is insane. That's times 4 of how many people voted within the 4 years. A lot of states are making it easier to request a mail ballot this year, especially New Jersey, that automatically gave ballots out to everyone, which was kind of like the first time that they were doing it, according to a New York Times article that I read. Also, throughout throughout the fall, ballots moved to this postal system. And, they said that they wanted 95% of the ballots to be delivered first class within 5 business days. And as of October 16th, it was the national on-time delivery rate was 85.5%, which is, actually, not so bad. Like that's pretty good in my opinion. Postal districts in many presidential battleground states, however, have failed to even reach that mark of 85.5%. We've got Michigan and Detroit and its suburbs with the worst delivery rates of just 71.5% of first class mail that was on time in mid-October. And a Michigan's top election official, what they said was really important, and I wanted to reiterate that, is that they said, quote, "We are too close to Election Day, and the right to vote is too important to rely on the Postal Service to deliver absentee ballots on time." So if you can, the official is urging residents in Michigan to drop off their ballots in drop boxes as of right now, because they're really not sure there's that assurance when it comes to the Postal Service right now. Yeah, that's when I saw this article, I was like, it makes sense, right? It does make sense. We're in a pandemic right now. What are your thoughts, Caitlin?
I mean, I think it's awesome that people have more access to mail-in ballots right now. And I feel like I don't think my friends requested mail-in ballots, but I think that in New Jersey, I think you got sent them anyway. But I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Like I know they ended up getting them to their house, and I don't think they ever specifically, like they were worried they would have to go in person. They were trying to figure it out, but then they got the mail-in ballot in their house. So I mean, I think it's pretty good that we've just been able to do that. And also, I keep seeing things that we have a lot of younger voters now too. Like the numbers are just higher than ever before compared to like the 2016 election, which is just so awesome to hear. Like I know I saw the other day too that Selena Gomez voted for the first time, and because I guess she'd never voted before, and she voted for this election.
Oh wow.
So it's definitely interesting. I know, right? It's definitely an interesting time that we're seeing so many more people voting.
I definitely saw her picture on Instagram that had like the I voted sticker, but I had no idea it was like her first time voting. Especially for us, right? Who literally are above 18. We didn't vote in the last election. This is our first election, which is insane. But yeah, we're getting old. But this is great. This is great. It's a milestone, right? It's important. It's there's nations out there where certain people are not allowed to vote, right, or don't even have the right to vote. So it's important that we, in my opinion, it's important that we utilize that and utilize our vote and our right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Kaya.
Use the voice that we have.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. The young generation. I feel like a lot of the fact that people our age are voting is also because a lot of celebrities are advocating for it. You're seeing a lot. You're seeing it, and it's not propaganda. I would call it more PCAs than propaganda. People that are like, oh, well, why are you? It's more PCAs, and it's really important that you're seeing commercials on TV that are urging you to vote, right? Besides the political ads that are like, mind-boggling, but the fact that we're constantly reminded, and I feel like that has a big part in why we're voting our age.
Yeah. I think you're right. I mean, despite it doesn't matter your political party, it's important to be a part of the democracy that we have. So I agree with you that it's important that people are spreading awareness to engage in our governmental system.
Yeah, and in speaking of engage, even though that you didn't use that in that context, so on our portal where we have student organizations that posts just updates and events and stuff, they actually do have a bunch of election leading up to election events that kind of talk to you about how to vote and what to expect. And I feel like that's super important too, to have those community-based events to teach and educate students about voting.
Yeah, it's great.
The more you talk about it, the more it kind of sticks into your brain, and then you see this turnout, which is good, which is great. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is that, a lot of officials, a lot of states they don't have much assurance in the postal office. They believe that if you send out your ballot now, that it might not even be counted. And in New Jersey, particularly, they're actually counting mail-in ballots before the election. And then if you take a look at New York, they're actually counting mail-in ballots after November 3rd.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. Because I remember reading something that it was interesting because this is going to be the first election where we won't know like the immediate next day who the president's going to be, as we
Yeah.
have in the past. So I have no idea how that's going to work or how it's going to happen. And I feel like it's definitely going to be a very anxious time for a lot of people, just knowing that it's election day, but we can't find out for a couple more days because they're still counting ballots and everything.
It's going to be very stressful for sure.
Yeah.
Some officials are saying that they're not going to have, and this is obviously, some officials, right? And we can't always take the word for it because this is really kind of a waiting game and kind of a do it as we go type situation right now, even like with the pandemic, right? But like some officials are saying that ballots are going to be counted until like, end of November or mid-November, right? There is
That's
that possibility of
crazy.
that deadline extending.
Oh boy.
It's really
Yeah.
intense.
So we're
It's
going to
so-
see, right?
It's so interesting to me that you guys are just setting your ballots. I mean, I know that a lot of states are like that, but it's just totally different here in Pennsylvania. I have a friend who's not, he keeps trying to vote. He's being kind of lazy about it. I don't want to be like rude to him, but I'm helping him through all of this stuff because he doesn't know how to do his research, which is fine. But
Which is definitely
keeps,
fine.
he was waiting for his mail-in ballot, and I'm like, well, did you request it? And he was like, I have to request it? And I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah. So we're going to go down and vote early Saturday morning. I already voted, but I'm going to help him do it. But yeah, it's crazy to me that you guys just get it. So,
Yeah, that it was
lucky.
it was sent out to everyone in New Jersey. But I don't blame your friend. I feel like that was a lot of us before November, before October. We were just like, politics.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just of that nature. If it's like a situation so big, sometimes you're just like, I don't want to really deal with it right now. I already have my
Yeah.
own problems.
Definitely.
It's very much like an adult thing too. So if it's your
Oh, yeah.
first time voting, you're just like, I feel like such an adult, like what is happening? Even my friend, she got her mail-in ballot and she was sending us screenshots and she was like, I'm so confused. What does this mean? What does this mean? So it's just an overwhelming process.
It is, definitely.
I love that. Like, I was actually looking at Facebook. I'm actually researching 2 candidates for the New Jersey Congressional District 3, and Andrew Kim, which is the incumbent of the Democratic Party. He actually recorded a video of himself like filling out the ballot, which I think is so funny and cool, right? Because it's like you kind of get that personal experience. He's like, I'm opening up the thing. Here's what you
Yeah.
can do. And it's like I feel like I wish there was more of that. You know what I mean? Because my mom literally came up to me at one point and she was like, how do I fill up my ballot? And I'm just like, okay, read instructions. And the instructions were pretty good too. Like they were pretty simple, but
And they
it's
have
like,
pictures too in the instructions, which I think is cute.
but I love those how-to tutorials. I love that so much.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Also, 2 more things that I wanted to point out in terms of statistics. So Northern New Jersey is actually performing in terms of giving in and returning their ballots 3.6% above national average. So like all the northern counties, and then and then we're looking at southern New Jersey, it's actually 1.6 below average. So it's really interesting to see like that contrast.
Wait, that means that it's like below average of people who are voting?
Or sending in, no, more specifically sending in their mail-in ballots.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so I thought that is very interesting. So to see that contrast, that came up in a AP News article that I was reading before I introduced the story. So
Is there a difference of, like, overall, is there a difference of political views in North and South Jersey? I honestly don't know, so I didn't know if you guys.
I think New Jersey is mainly considered a blue state.
Yeah, I mean, that's
but
what I
I'm not
thought, but I
sure.
wasn't
Like,
sure.
yeah, I don't know what the numbers are. I saw my friend showed me this TikTok yesterday that they were joking and they were like, if you vote like, I mean, this is just something I saw online as a joke that somebody said was like, if you vote Republican, like your vote technically won't count because there's so many Democratic votes in New Jersey.
Yeah.
So, but I don't really know about the statistics. I just saw people saying that. But I think we are considered blue.
Yeah, it does make sense. If you have the majority of people voting for the Democratic Party, then obviously the vote's going to go to the Democratic Party, right? It really depends on how many people are voting, and then that's besides the Electoral College. But
Yeah.
we don't really. I don't really want to speak on that. I don't know. I don't really know the statistics like by hand, but it seems that Ryan Trick, our morning bus producer, said that New Jersey is considered a blue state. However, I did hear from other people that it's considered purple because it does sway back and forth. But that's probably every state, and that sways back and forth.
Yeah.
It's definitely Pennsylvania.
There you go.
For sure.
But yeah, and
kinda-
speaking of more important things, right? We've got the election on our mind. We have next Tuesday. That's when our election is ending.
So close.
And then that's besides the point of counting the ballots and counting the votes and finding out the results after or on the day, depending. We'll see. Waiting game. But pandemic, right? What's going on?
Yeah.
What's going on with workplaces and COVID-19
Definitely.
safety procedures?
On a different note, I found this article on NJ.com. So apparently, well, not apparently, but Governor Phil Murphy on Wednesday signed an executive order that requires employers to follow the protocols of they're basically new workplace protocols for COVID-19 safety. So it's really interesting. So I'm sure you guys are going to recognize most of these guidelines, but I'll read a few of them. Pretty much that workers have to keep at least 6 feet apart from each other. Workers and visitors have to wear face masks. Employers have to provide face masks to the company at the company's expense, and also constantly sanitizing materials and conducting daily health checks. So, I don't think that's anything new that we're hearing of, but now that it's actually an actual rule from the state. So as COVID-19 numbers continue to rise across the state, New Jersey is mandating private and public employers to implement uniform health and safety standards to protect all workers against the coronavirus. During a Facebook Live virtual event, Governor Murphy said, "We will, quote, we will ensure that every worker stands under the same umbrella of protection," end quote. So yeah, this is very interesting because if I'm not mistaken, this is one of the first states that has, for New Jersey, that we have actual rules in place that it's kind of required. But something that it reminded me of is I'm living on campus right now at Montclair, and a lot of these rules are in place right now. We always have to wear face masks and keep 6 feet apart as much as possible. We're not allowed to have guests in rooms and stuff, and things are constantly sanitized. And we do have to conduct a daily hawk check, and it helps with contact tracing and just to see if you're good to come to campus or just be around people in general. And it's working out pretty well here on campus. We don't really have a lot of COVID-19 cases, but I don't know. How do you guys feel about this? Because honestly, none of these guidelines are very new. If you go into any restaurant at this point in the pandemic, a lot of these things are already in place.
No, that's important. And as Emma was talking about Cuban Pete's closing down, this protocols are more important now than ever. We're seeing a spike in cases again, and scientists are anticipating a third wave, right? So these protocols, in my opinion, are very necessary, more than necessary, right? And I hope that they're just framed and plastered at the workplace. You know what I mean? Because once again, winter is coming. That was not a Game of Thrones reference. But no, but winter is coming, and a lot of we're going to be staying inside. So these protocols are going to be more important, right? As we're going to be staying inside and sharing the same space, right? It's going to be more tough because we've only experienced the pandemic in springtime, in summertime, and now fall, right? We've never really reached winter before, at least in the United States. So it's going to be a new challenge. It's going to be a new challenge for everyone.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah, and I think Murphy also said from the NJ.com article that the state needed to create these standards because the federal government has not established federal guidelines. So especially as we get closer to winter, it's a good thing. It's just crazy because a lot of restaurants are already doing this, and I just hope that now that it's a state mandated thing that they take even more precaution, because again, as it gets colder with the rain and stuff like that, outdoor dining is not as like possible, I guess, and most people are going to want to be indoors. And you'd have like a restaurant trying to get away with more than 25% capacity because they want to try and make money still, even though the weather is not really helping them with that. So it's a good thing, definitely.
I agree. I think that it, like kind of what you said, it's important to have like a statewide standard. In my opinion, I think it would be good to have a nationwide standard, but we don't have that. So I do appreciate like the governors and stuff like that taking initiative and bringing standards up to, whatever they think is best to sort of just have it the same across the board. It makes it easier for business owners, I think.
No, and to add on what you said, in terms of federal, I feel like federal guidelines wouldn't hurt. If anything, it might actually be kind of like a reference template for states. But at the same time, we have to consider that each state is different. They have different circumstances. They have different rates of cases. And also at the same time, we have to take into consideration the amount of small businesses and businesses in general that are really holding on to a thin thread right now, right? So, obviously safety is priority. I'm a big advocate for staying home, taking this virus very seriously. But at the same time, it's like whatever it is that you can do to just help out businesses and just, but at the same time, staying safe. That's why it's important to each state to have its own type of procedures and regulations in place due to their like specific environment, right? But yeah, federal guidelines wouldn't hurt. If anything, it would show that, the government is taking, it more seriously than it is right now.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
That was a good point, Kai. You're right. Absolutely.
Opinions don't reflect of the station as a whole.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I know for me, I work at an ice cream shop. I've been away for a little while since I'm back on campus, but I still keep in contact with everybody there, and I know my boss is really struggling because it's a small like hometown little homemade ice cream shop. So
yeah, of course,
it's definitely a difficult time, and his sales always go down as it gets colder, of course, but never like to this rate. So it's really crazy because I think he's considering doing delivery for the first time just locally, just as a way to, be able to stay open because it is hard to make profit right now.
Yeah, and it's like you're seeing this small business that is, you obviously know, but hopefully taking safety precautions, right? And struggling, right? But it's also like heartbreaking to hear about Cuban Pete's down in Montclair. And to think that such a popular restaurant like would not want to follow guidelines, right?
Yeah.
And and then it's also heartbreaking for the small businesses that are following guidelines. You know what I mean? So it's important that it's really important that we prioritize safety and that we always follow guidelines because then you have consequences, right? And you like literally then your business gets shut down, right? And that's not what we want. But we also want to stay healthy and protect those around us. So, friendly PSA before I start playing more PSAs when we go to break. Just, take the virus seriously. Do what you can to protect yourself. Sanitize. It's always very important. That's that. All right. After we come back from our break, we're going to be talking about some international news and some funny things about the old generation and technology. Oh yeah, we got a whole wide range of stories for y'all. Get excited. Start dancing in your seats. It's gonna be fun. All right, see you soon. Yeah. Hi guys. How are we doing so far?
Good. It's a fun little break.
We're excited. We're excited for these stories.
Very excited.
Awesome.
Very, very excited. Yes.
Perfect. So, Macron, French president, declares second national lockdown, and this is a serious story. This is talking about the pandemic, the stages of the pandemic in France right now. So Mr. Macron said that under the new measures starting on Friday, people would only be allowed to leave their home for essential work or medical reasons, which means that this is a necessary national lockdown. Non-essential businesses, restaurants, bars, they're going to be closing, but schools and factories will remain open. COVID daily deaths in France are the highest level since April. On Tuesday, 33,000 new cases were confirmed. Macron said the country risked being, quote, overwhelmingly overwhelmed by a second wave that no doubt will be harder than the first, end quote. On the other side with Germany next door, Germany will impose an emergency lockdown that is less severe but includes the closure of restaurants, gyms, and theaters. As infections are rising sharply across Europe, even including the UK, which on Wednesday announced 310 new deaths and 24,701 new officially recorded cases. In England, a new study estimates that about 100,000 people are actually catching the virus every day, with researchers warning that, quote, something has to change, end quote. Night curfews are actually being enforced in several countries, including for the 46 million people in France. In light of these new restrictions, Europe's biggest economies led to sharp falls in the financial markets on Wednesday. There's a major US indexes also sank 3.4% or even more. On a televised address on Wednesday, Mr. Macron said, quote, the virus is circulating at a speed that not even the most pessimistic forecasts have anticipated. And he also added on to the statement saying that half of all intensive care beds at French hospitals are being occupied by COVID patients. The president said that under these new rules, people need to fill out a form to justify leaving their house, required in the initial lockdown that happened in March. Social gatherings will be banned in France. He continued to say in the televised statement, quote, like in the spring, you'll be able to leave your house only to work, for a medical appointment, to provide assistance to a relative, to shop for essential goods, or to go to a walk near your house, he said, end quote. And he's made it pretty clear that although this lockdown is enforced, public services and factories will remain open because the economy needs to prevail during this time. So it's heartbreaking to see this. You know, it's heartbreaking to see that cases are spiking so highly in Europe again. Hopefully this lockdown works in the favor of the French people. And another thing that actually is closing down also temporarily is the Disneyland Paris. It's reduced its hours significantly in September, with the Walt Disney Studios Park only opening for 5 hours a day, and it closed at 6 p.m. and on most days closing at 8 p.m. on Saturdays. Disney Village would be open from 5 to 10 p.m. daily. And this is, we've seen a reduced of hours. Now the Disneyland park is, facing closing down. So it's important,
It's definitely a very, when you read this, it's just so scary because I think we saw before, I think the United States got hit really hard. We saw it happening in other places. So I feel like I look at this, and as negative as it sounds, it just makes me worry, are we gonna come to this point again where we have to all end up in lockdown once again? It's definitely a very scary thing happening.
Definitely, it's very bleak, and I mean, I think that the president of France is doing the right things to, protect the people of France, and I just hope that it doesn't get any worse from here. I mean, really, for anybody,
Yeah, definitely.
Also,
we're all doing the best we can.
It's
exactly.
true.
And also I think it's pat on the back for Disneyland for closing down its park, and realizing that the state that France is in and Europe is in, and taking the precautions needed to make sure that, there is no fun time, that this is the time where you need to stay home and take this seriously and protect your health and those around you. It's nice to see that they're doing that. And my heart goes out to everyone in Europe, especially the French, the Germans, that, they have the strength to prevail through this. And on top of the topic of Disney, we've also seen Disney actually lose a lot of business, which is 40% of their income from these parks. So
I did not know it was that much.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
Wow.
40% of their income. I mean, but the thing is, whether it's governmental, like federal regulations that are asking them to close down, or if it's on their own part, it's important that they stay closed down because it's such a high contact amusement park. Whether or not,
Yes.
whether or not like you agree, it is, right? And kind of not having the usual experience, the normal experience, it kind of takes away from it, right? And for precaution reasons, it's important that it does stay closed, and that these corporations are advocating to people, hey, we're closing down our parks because we want to keep you safe, and this is no fun time right now, right? So yeah, I applaud Disney for doing that. But at the same time, we've got all these new streaming movies coming out from Disney, right? Disney Plus is soaring. Uh, Although Mulan, in my opinion, was not the best live action remake, my opinion. But yeah, so once again, my heart goes out to the French and everyone in Europe. And we just send you strength from America, right?
Definitely. And shout out to Disney on making that responsible choice. But on a lighter note of something going on during the pandemic, we have a lot of older Americans using technology for the first time. So I saw this article
I
on
love
Good News
that.
Network. I know, it's so wholesome. On Good News Network, I saw this article, and I love Good News Network. Sometimes I just like to read it for fun because there's just so many interesting stories about things happening in the world.
Mm-hmm.
On a lighter note, but as the COVID-19 outbreaks continue to transform our everyday lives, this new poll of American seniors shows that many older people have been forced to experiment with technology for the first time, and they are enjoying it more than they originally thought. According to a survey of 2,000 Americans aged 65 and older, 34% have used Zoom, and 25% have video chatted with their doctors. So that was on top of the list of firsts for senior citizens during the pandemic. 79% of respondents tried telehealth for the first time during the pandemic to help them stay home and reduce the risk of contracting the novel coronavirus, of course. And seniors who benefited from these services are now beginning to see the advantages of other high-tech remote healthcare options. 58% said they plan to use these services in the future if given the option, while 58% said they plan to use services in the future, and 56% of respondents said they would prefer their doctors to have regular access to information about their heart and other conditions without the need for an in-person visit. So this is a quote from Dr. Robert Cowell, Chief Medical Officer for Medtronic Cardiac Rhythm and Heart Failure, said, quote, "The pandemic has revealed new possibilities for advanced healthcare technology that can adapt to our changing needs," end quote. So it's a very wholesome thing, but have you guys seen this in your own families, that like older members of your family kind of getting more familiar with technology?
Well, if I'm going to be very blunt with you, both my grandmas are like, I wouldn't say one of my grandmas, my mom's side, she is smartphone savvy. She knows more apps than I would ever know because I love you, grandma, but she spends a lot of time on her phone more than I do, and she knows, like she like introduced me to like a Find Your Car app, like where you like put the location of your car so you can find it if you go to the supermarket or if you go like to a building or whatnot. She's showed me like scanning apps and like health apps that can help you with like,
Aww.
you know what I mean? Like she's like super, like she has Pinterest, she has all
Oh.
social media platforms, Instagram. My other grandma, on the other hand, she's the grandma that's like, hey, Kaya, can you like do this thing for me? Like, I'd really appreciate it. And I'll be like, yes, grandma, anything for you. Like, there's one thing I could do. I can help you with that. Uh, so, but she also is very Facebook, very Skype to call her like Polish friends.
Aww.
She's so cute. She's constantly like, I'm always constantly sending her memes too. So I gotta say, my grandparents, they're doing good. Well, not my grandfather. My grandfather just got an iPhone this year, so he doesn't really know how to text and just answers phone calls for my grandmother. And this is from my dad's side. But my grandmas, they're killing it.
That's amazing.
Well, I have to say this brought up something a little different for me, only because one of my grandmas is living in North Dakota, which I don't know if you guys have heard, but it's like the Dakotas are one of the worst places in the world right now for the virus. And that's mostly because people living there do not follow any type of precautions. So I'm not really sure how much technology my grandma has used, because I don't think that she's really needed it because everything's open. So like she still goes to the casino every weekend to my we're not happy about that, but so I don't think she's really learned to use technology any differently, because there hasn't been need for it, even though I think there probably should be, but that's just my opinion. My other grandma, on the other hand, she lives in Baltimore, and we have these bi-weekly family Zoom meetings with her, and she loves them. So
bi-weekly Zoom meetings?
Yes, she loves them.
Aww.
So for that, it's like the whole, like her whole side of the family, like it's my dad's mom, so all of his brothers and sisters, and he has a big family. So it's really fun, and I'm really happy for her. So reading this, I was thinking of her and how great that is, but then it also is like worrying about my other grandma. But yeah, hopefully it gets better.
No, of course. I feel like for my grandparents, I haven't really seen them video chat with like a doctor or anything like that, but my one grandmother's definitely more like a phone person, so she'll call the doctor's office and talk on the phone. But I don't know, I think video chat's a little next level. She got Facebook recently, and she loves Facebook. So that's like been the past few years. So that's like her whole life over there. She knows how to video chat and Facebook Messenger and all that stuff. So, but it's just interesting to me because it said that 58% of the respondents said they'd use the services in the future, and 56% said they'd like want information to be able to have access to information without contacting the doctor. So, I mean, I feel like for our generation, we're very, like, we want to find the easiest way to do stuff like that. So it'll be through making appointments online, so we don't have to talk to somebody, or looking up stuff ourselves, so we don't have to go to the doctor's office. So it's very interesting to me to see the older generation kind of adapt more to that. Like, they want to have access to stuff like that without having to go to a doctor for every little thing.
And I also think that from like a younger person's perspective, it's so interesting to see like both the contrasting sides of having like one grandma that's like super like more on top of it, and the other one that's like, not really. It's kind of like what we're gonna be. You know what I mean? Like when we get older, it's like you're gonna stick with the trends and you're gonna try, or you're just gonna be like, you know what? My trends went back in the day, and I love those trends, and I'm just gonna stay with those trends. You know what I mean? It's more of like, I would maybe a personality thing and a mental thing to see like, how we're going to turn out, because, we like, we're talking about this, and like, we're gonna, we're talking about this, and we look at our grandparents and we're like, oh, well, that's adorable. But it's like, that's going to be us. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to have to make that decision soon. And it might just be like subconscious, or it might be super conscious. But I vow to myself here, and we can all vow today. I vow to myself that I'm going to stay with the trends when I get older. I'm making a vow.
Yeah, I hope so. I want to do that too.
Yeah, I would think too. Yes, I'm vowing.
This is a monumental. This is a monumental moment, listeners. Ladies, we have vowed to our older selves in the next 40, 50 years that we're going to stay with the trends. Let's see how it goes. I'm going to Facebook message both of you and see how that works.
Definitely.
Another topic is that medical technology has been super overshadowed recently by other tech that people have been using, especially like the new releases of like iPhone 12 and so many other gadgets that are happening right now. People are super obsessed with their Apple Watches and stuff, and I'm only talking Apple because that's like, the only thing that I own. And yes, it's brainwashed me. But yeah, like we don't really talk a lot about medical tech. And also on the Morning Buzz, that was mentioned and talked about by Morning Buzz producer Ryan Trick and assistant Morning Buzz producer Amanda, that there's just a lot of things we're using in the pandemic, like tech, PCEs, et cetera, that we, would be using after the pandemic as well. And that actually gets to that was one of the conversations Ryan and I had earlier in the weeks, is that masks are going to be an accessory now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Whether there's going to be technological masks, we don't know. That is considered a medical technology, but that'd be super cool. Seeing like masks light up and stuff, and like graphics and holograms Well, that's probably like 20 years from now, but that would be super awesome. Eye
Yeah,
mask.
definitely.
Eye
I
mask.
feel like, oh my god, oh, imagine that's crazy. But I feel
Yeah.
like it's just crazy how the world is kind of just changing before our eyes. Like one quote that I feel like really sticks in my head a lot, it's a Mark Twain quote, and it's history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. So I feel like it's just really relevant right now because we've seen pandemics in the world before, but never at this like level where we have this advanced technology. Like everything is so different at the moment, and it's just so crazy how just things like this, like all the medical technology and having more access, like we're it's just,
Evolving.
I don't even know how to explain it. It's just the way
We're
that if we didn't
evolving.
have this technology, like the pandemic would be so different.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like that Apple Watch commercial. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it's like, oh, track your steps. We got that. Oh, rate your heart measure. We got that. Blah 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 blah. We got that. And it's like that's kind of what it is now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
it's funny that you bring this up actually today because I was having a conversation with two of my friends just last night about we were mostly talking about how like TV and movies were going to change just
Okay.
because people's like it's not even the technology, like people's perspectives are just different now. Like we've all been through like different things than we had a year ago. Like
Right.
I was talking about one of my favorite TV shows and how it's like I sort of lost interest in it like when I rewatched it like after a year just because like I feel like the things that happen in that TV show are just sort of like yeah whatever like there's a global pandemic like that's not that big of a deal like just something as simple as that has like it's gonna change like how we I guess interpret and I guess I don't know our liking our interest in movies and television.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I talked about this on the little weekend buzz that I do with Leslie, who's also she's the host for tomorrow for the morning buzz, but our show, The Weekend Wake
Hashtag
Up, which
plug.
is yes, The Weekend Wake Up on
Plug
WMSC's
it.
YouTube channel.
It's awesome. We love it.
Yes, it's basically a lifestyle version of the morning buzz,
With a lot more
but
guests.
yes, we have a bunch of different segments. It's very exciting. It's on the WMSC YouTube channel, so that's fun. But we
Ooh,
were talking
93
about kind of
WMSC.
yes. So we were talking about how shows are really changing during this pandemic. Like I think This Is Us just came back yesterday or the day before, if I'm not mistaken.
Stop.
And
This
they're
Is Us is literally what I'm binge watching right now.
no, that
I'm
show
on
makes me
season
cry.
4. I literally was watching it last night because I was super stressed and I'm like, I need to like watch something and calm myself down. It was season 4, episode 7.
Season 4. Oh, wait. I'm not caught
Season-
up, so I don't even know what episode that is. But every time I watch that show, it makes me cry, and I love that it makes me cry. If that's crazy, but I do. But you have shows like that that are like their new episodes are kind of putting the virus in the storyline, like the pandemic. But Kaya, you said that you watched the episode to make you relax. So do you think that since they have like the virus involved in it now, do you like that they're kind of incorporating that real life issue, or would you rather they keep it separate?
You know what? So that's season 5. That's the new season that came out.
Yeah.
Season 4 is like the season before that, obviously, numbers.
Mhm.
I like that very much because like I'm actually kind of interested to see how they filmed during that time because, a lot of TV productions, a lot of movies were put on a halt or just stopped, canceled completely. So to see that they were able to go through that production and, still be able to, still be able to record and set up these scenes and just have production continue on is amazing. And I would just like to see the behind the scenes. And yes, I love that the characters are wearing masks and keeping distance and taking the virus seriously because once again, what we're literally watching right now, our entire, like most of our lives right now, for the most of people in our generation is streaming stuff, right? When out of our free time, we're streaming stuff. Before we go to bed, we're watching something, right? There's something that we have in our minds right now that we're watching, whether it's a movie or a TV show. And if you constantly see the repetition of characters wearing masks, them taking it seriously, then you get influenced by it. You know what I mean? I definitely believe that you subconsciously get influenced by your character. Like I know for a fact that when I was like I don't know, like 12, 13, Hunger Games came out, I wanted to be exactly like Katniss, right? And I started acting like her. you know, subconsciously and consciously, right? We start acting like our favorite characters, you know, because it gives us joy and it's like, you know, brings a little more spice into our lives. I know that I do that, or I'm just weird. But yes, the question is like, yeah, I would love to see more masks, just more talk about the virus because it's a prevalent topic right now. And This Is Us literally talks about a lot of prevalent topics, whether it's family issues, racial issues, LGBTQ plus issues, you know, issues of body image, like foster care. They tackle everything. So this is something that they need to tackle.
Yeah, it definitely. That doesn't make you weird, Kaya. I do that too.
Yeah,
I
cool.
just. I
So
feel
I'm not
like
the
when
only
you,
one that like walks down a street and pretends I'm in a music video because I'm listening to a favorite song, right? No.
Oh,
No, of
absolutely
course
not.
not.
All right,
Everyone
bet.
does that.
Especially in the car. I feel like I listen to sad
Oh,
music in
yeah.
the car and I'm very dramatic about it. But
Yeah.
that's okay. It's normal.
Or like you're sitting in the car seat and you're just like lip singing the song and you're just like looking into the mirror on the side and
Yeah.
pretending you're a music video there. Okay, that was just strange. All right, never mind. That was just
No, I would do that too. And you know what? Today's a perfect day for that because it's raining.
It
So
really,
it
it's a
elevates it.
moody day.
Oh man. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, you were saying.
Anyway, I was gonna say about the shows. That's when I first kind of talked about it, and I'm pretty sure I said it on the Weekend Wake Up too. I just felt like a lot of times we watch TV to kind of escape, so it's kind of not annoying because it is important, but just like seeing all the coronavirus stuff in like your favorite show is kind of like, oh, like we're hearing it again. But you know, it's not like I don't know. Now that you said that, Kaya, I do think it's really important because especially as younger kids watch these shows and they'll see that like this is just what the world is now because at the same time, while it is an escape from reality, it also represents kind of real life. So it's very important. But in other entertainment news, have you guys seen She's All That, either of you?
No. Explain it to us.
So it's a movie from 1999 and it's just like a little rom-com and I feel like you guys might think it's like a basic storyline, but it was kind of the start to all these storylines where it's like the girl who's kind of not popular and then the guy like it's a bet and he does like a makeover and to try and get her to win prom queen, but then they actually like, you know, they like each other and it's a whole thing. So
Oh, I love it.
it's cute. It's really
like a
cute.
chick flick? Is it like a chick
Yeah,
flick?
it is.
We love chick flicks.
No, that's my
judgment.
favorite. That's my favorite type of movie, to be honest. But I feel like if you watch it, you might be like, oh, like I know what's gonna happen. It's kind of like a basic storyline, but you have to understand like the time
That's
period. So it's
fine,
kind of
though.
the first ones. Yeah, it was one of the first movies to kind of do that, I think.
Yeah.
But they're doing a remake called He's All That, so they're switching their genders around, and it's gonna star Addison Rae.
See, I saw her name and I'm like, this is gonna be interesting.
Right, exactly. Addison Rae and
Addison Rae.
Yeah.
Bad bleep.
Yeah, the baddest. That's what she says.
The baddest bleep.
And then Tanner Buchanan, who was also, I think he was in a Netflix movie recently. I'm not sure, but I'm just really intrigued. I don't know. I'm kind of worried for it because the original movie stars Rachel Lee Cook and Freddie Prinze Jr. So it's a very cute little cast. And now they just announced in this article from Deadline that Madison Pettis and Peyton Meyer are other actors who are going to be joining the cast. And I don't know. How do you guys feel about remakes in general? I'm very worried about what's going to happen, especially because Addison Rae's like the star, and I only know her from TikTok, so it's just kind of wild to me that she's starring in a movie now. But you know,
Not gonna lie, there's a part of me that's like, I understand why they're choosing Addison because she is the big like TikTok star and like, you know, she's famous and people are going to want to watch it because Addison Rae is going to be in the movie. They're definitely going to bring in that large TikTok audience to watch the movie. But at the same time, there's like the musical theater kid in me and the little kid that always wanted to do like whatchamacallit, just acting and stuff and dreamed of being a pop star of me is like, I don't know if it's fair to like actors out there that are really trying to make it in the industry or just even actors that don't really have like are just finding trouble, you know, even celebrities that are having trouble finding jobs right now during just the pandemic. Like there's a part of me that's like, but she doesn't act, you know what I mean? And it's like she has so many other opportunities and brand sponsorships and she has a podcast and like she's doing well right now with TikTok. Like she's fine financially. You know what I mean? There's a part of me that's like, I don't agree with this. I'd rather
Yeah.
just watch her YouTube videos. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I think you're right. I didn't think of it that way, but you're definitely right. I mean, and personally for me, it's like I don't watch her on TikTok. Like this is not going to make me watch this movie, but I think that they're smart because I'm probably in the minority. So yeah,
Yeah.
I get yeah, it's a good marketing technique, but definitely wish
Definitely.
that it could have gone to somebody who like acts for
Yeah, like
as a
maybe someone
profession.
that we like another like notable face or even just someone new. Like, you know, I thought it was a great decision. This is I'm like pulling this from like 2017, 18 because I just did a project on it. But like when they chose Hawaii for Moana, like we love
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? We loved seeing a new face. We loved seeing and getting to know their story, right? So
Definitely.
Caitlin, what are your final thoughts?
We'll keep updated on this. I just kind of want to see the movie and see what happens because I genuinely am worried about what it's gonna turn out to. I mean, they're I think it's the same producers or yeah, it's the original producers from the movie, so maybe that'll help it a little bit.
That's a bright light.
We'll
Mhm.
see what happens. But
Yeah, we are
Kaya,
gonna see.
what are we celebrating today?
Ooh, what are we celebrating? A mixed bag as usual. So, starting off with a really important holiday, it's World Stroke Day. So, there's a grim statistic saying that 1 out of 4 people are going to have a stroke some point in their lives. And World Stroke Day is an observational day that just draws attention and awareness the danger of that strokes pose to people and affect their health. This day is observed on once again October 29th, and it's just to help people take action so that they can avoid being the 15 million people that are killed by strokes each and every year, and just taking precautions. So that's a very important day. Glad to see that that is being awareness is being spread on people dealing with strokes, and you know the grim statistic, right? And then more on weird holidays. We've got National Cat Day. Mm. National Oatmeal Day and National Hermit Day.
Amazing.
You know, I'm very seriously allergic to cats, so I'm like
Oh,
I
You're
love their
allergic to
personalities.
cats?
I
that's really
am
sad.
very.
I don't know why I thought you would be a cat person. I just
You
thought you
do
would
seem
be.
like a cat person,
Yeah.
actually.
I
Yeah.
do? No, I
I don't
don't.
know. I thought you would
No, I
be.
think you do.
She said, "No, I don't.
I
have a
don't.
cat."
I appreciate it, but no.
I have 3 cats, so I'll
Oh,
have plenty to celebrate
little
today.
babies. Yeah, they're
I want
gonna
to give my
give
cat
them.
a hug.
Yeah, give them a big hug, and yeah, have some oatmeal. You know, be a hermit today. It's rainy outside, right? Study, get cozy. And also, once again, strokes are a very serious problem, and it's important that we're really educating ourselves on it. And they do cause long-term damage, even years after, and it's super rough stuff. So just educate yourself, and you know, take the time to learn more about it, and yeah, reach out to those that you may have known that had strokes in their life and are dealing with it now, right? So, on that note, also, we'd like to talk about our WMSC Scholarship Fund. We have 2 days left. The WMSC Excellence in Radio Scholarship and Training Fund seems to acknowledge and reward the hard work of undergraduate students who volunteer their time and efforts to the radio station and embody the hard work and spirit of excellence in college radio. Your donations will assist outstanding Montclair State University students here at 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair who demonstrate considerable achievements and leadership at the radio station and have significant potential for future creative development, like industry training, like we've had yesterday at the CBI National Conference, which was super awesome. So you have 2 days left. Please donate to our scholarship fund and help us out here with all of the students that are largely operating the station and working super hard during the pandemic to bring content to you guys, to you, our awesome listeners, by visiting crowdfund.montclair.edu/project. 888-221-51. And you can always just go on Crown Fund Montclair and find our scholarship on the homepage. And also, we would like to plug one more thing. We've got virtual Halloween party that's happening tonight at 9 p.m. Please check our socials for more information on that. And we hope to see you there all dressed. We have a contest. A costume contest. That's what I meant to say. So come dressed, fun attitudes, and we're going to have a fun time. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining us on the Morning Buzz. You can tune in tomorrow morning for George and Leslie. And of course, over the weekend wake up with Caitlin and Leslie as well. Caitlin, thank you so much for joining us as our co-host, as our temporary co-host for today. It was super fun.
Yes, I had fun. Thank you for having me, Kaya.
Always. You're more than welcome to just join in as a guest anytime. And Emma, thank you so much for your news contribution and your awesome company. We love you. We love you, Emma.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So once again, have an amazing day. Leave behind whatever it is that happened yesterday and just start fresh here. And we wish you an amazing and awesome day. Study and light a candle, everyone. All right. See you next week. Bye.